Welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrinala. I come to you from the Pacific Northwest where I live with my partner, our 2 kitties, and 2 adopted Mustangs. Information about the Wildhorse adoption program will be in the episode description box. This podcast covers knitting projects, my horsemanship journey, and my other passions like vegetable gardening and bicycling. If you're new here, I hope you find the content interesting. If you're a returning viewer, it's always great to have old friends. The format of this channel typically includes musings on an early walk to the barn to feed the horses, then knitting content, some catch up on the horsemanship journey, and finally more musings or maybe a little bicycling footage if I was lucky enough to get out. Enjoy, and I hope to see you soon. Good morning, friends. Welcome to this episode of Whinnies and Knits, where I talk about horsemanship and I talk about knitting. Typically spend more time talking about knitting than horsemanship, but we always begin, or most often begin, with a walk out to the barn to feed the horses. Today is Friday, January 9th, 2026. It is about 7:30 in the morning. Starting to get light outside, barely. Sunrise officially is at like 7:58 or something like that. So definitely noticing some increased sunlight or daylight. Not necessarily sunlight for sure, not here in the Pacific Northwest this time of year. So the sun sets these days, I would say around 4:30 or so, maybe a little after 4:30, so we're not quite to the 5 p.m. Sunset yet. But, I would say we have a good 20 or so minutes more daylight than we did around the solstice. So it's noticeable. It's been raining. It's been chilly, but mostly just regular rain. We haven't had snow in the lowlands yet, so that's probably coming soon. I hear a frog, which I don't know. Maybe the frogs are getting more cold tolerant because it is definitely in the 40s. Usually I hear frogs when the temperature's, up around 50. So, I don't know what's going on. It's been a regular work week. Went back to work full time. Still working from home. There is more talk about returning to office. I've said this before. When everyone was sent home to work during the pandemic, there was a lot of consolidation of office space, and our department, which is public health, went from, maybe 2 floors in a high-rise building down to 1 floor. So, or at least our division of public health. So the entire department's kind of spread out all over because there's, the clinical services and food safety and solid waste and stuff like that. And then I work in the wastewater on-site sewage. So anyway, returning to office, as much as they would like us to, is a lot more complicated than what it initially appears. I'm guessing that you can't see the horses, but there's Bragi, hi Bragi, and there's O in his cozy blue blanket, patiently waiting for their breakfast. I've been setting up some puzzle games for Bragi, and he's been doing really good. So I'll talk about those, I think, a little bit later, but for now, I'm going to get to feeding. Hello, friends. Before I start the knitting portion of this podcast, I wanted to share with you my indoor garden that I cleaned up. So these are little grow lights that haven't turned on yet, and I started some seeds, some basil. These are the lemon trees that I have been growing for a while. I transplanted them. And here are some, I think, tomato, indoor tomato seeds, and this is lettuce, basil, there's a yellow pepper, what did I do here, chives, hopefully, and then some peppers that somehow managed to survive outside for this long, and then here's some microgreens that are doing quite well. I'll talk more about gardening when I get to that segment. Hey friends, getting myself organized for the showing my works in progress. I have no finished objects. I do have a half finished object though, so let me get myself organized. And I want to turn on my computer so that I have notes to refer to. Here we go. Good morning. Good morning. So what am I wearing? I am wearing the So Faded. This is a project I finished. There we go. This is a project I finished not too long ago, really, within the last month or so, maybe a little bit more. It's a pattern by Andrea Mowry. So I'm okay, happy with it. I like the fade. I apparently dropped a stitch somewhere here and it's got a little wonky. It's a bummer that I did that in the front. I don't know if it will eventually block out. And then the final color is this, I think this is peony. I'm also wearing the rye cardigan in a, that I knit in a worsted weight Barocco yarn. The So Faded is a fingering weight yarn, and I made it short sleeved, hence the cardigan over it. So, and that was just a miscalculation on my part in terms of how much yarn I had left. I had quite a bit of yarn left and plenty for sleeves, but so let me just show you the sleeves. And the other thing I did with this is I accidentally knit them inside out, which I think this reverse stockinette, I think it actually works fine for the length of these sleeves. So that is that. The rye sweater, I finished that within the last, I would say, 5 years. And the reason why I say I know that, I feel very confident about that, is because when Herbert was a kitten, which was 5 years ago, he chewed a hole in it as I was knitting it. So I ended up re-knitting the whole back of it. I can't remember. It doesn't look like it's pieced together, so I must have ended up knitting the body completely again. So, oh well. I do have a new cast on. So let's talk about the Talvinen. That is in this crocheted bag that I made. I'm on the 3rd skein of yarn of the main color, and I am working on the sleeves. So I think last time I showed it, I had finished the body. And let's see if I can get this organized so there's not like a string of yarn in front. So, and again, I haven't tried it on. It's fine.
I would like to get this done in January. We'll see whether I actually get it done. The sleeves, I need probably about 10 inches of stockinette, and then there is another color work section using these contrast colors. So this highlight color is Emma's Yarns, and it is Love Drunk is the colorway, and then the Finnish Soul Bird, the Talvinen, is in a Woolen Women fingering weight yarn called Kentucky Derby, and then this main color is Nightshade. So that's where I'm with that. So you will be seeing that again for a while. I am also continuing to work on the Wildwood shawl. This is, I think, my third attempt at it because I didn't like the first stripey bit. Show you the reverse side without the stitch counter in it. So it's just a garter stitch. This primary color here is called Clarity, and it is a Knit Picks Stroll fingering weight yarn. The pattern is by K.F. Jones. I forgot to mention that the pattern for the Talvinen is by Caitlin Hunter, one of my favorite colorwork designers. And then I started in this undyed and faded the blue in, and then I'm just knitting this blue until it's done. And I think I have quite a lot of this blue. So if the whole shawl ends up being that blue, that's fine. I don't care. I do have a darker blue I'd like to fade in. And then there is a lace edging. So in that, I think that is also, that might be a light fingering weight. Excuse me, this bag was made by my partner, fiance now. He has an industrial sewing machine, and the handles are made from a belt he had. So the faux leather patches are starting to show their wear, but it just means that the bag is well loved. What else do I have? I still am working on the 100-acre wood blanket, which is a mitered square blanket. I haven't worked on it that much, so I maybe added a square in. I am working on the Hollyberry colorway, and then that is the last pair, the Christmas socks that I finished out of West Yorkshire Spinners, their holiday colorway from, I don't know, I'm guessing 2022. And then I think I'm going to give away a lot of my leftover yarns that are 50 grams and more, because I don't really need them. And I don't really anticipate knitting like a scrappy something out of it. I mean, I could potentially do like a marled type sweater, but I honestly don't know that's necessary. So I might try to just give those away. Let me show you. I showed you this bag last week. This bag was a Christmas present from my mom. So a nice quilted drawstring bag. And my half finished object is this Vanilla is the New Black sock, which has this nifty heel that I like a lot. It's kind of a ribbed heel. Well, it's totally a ribbed heel. But there's no like heel flap and gusset and all that. You just continue knitting in the round, doing these increases in the heel, and then you do a heel flap, or no, a heel turn. And and that's more of the short row style of heel. And then you just knit the foot. So this colorway is a Legacy Fiber Artz Advent from, believe it's 2024. And I think the colorway is like Christmas Lights Repair Shop or something like that. It was really fun to knit. So, and these are 50 gram microskeins. So I don't anticipate having much leftovers after I finish the second sock. So I am definitely working on the leg part of this, and I have, about 12 more rounds before I start the heel increases. So that ought to go pretty fast. Super fun. And then I have had this bag for a while. Again, another bag from my mom that she gave me. I don't want to say it might be even a couple years ago. I would say 2024. And I had my GoPro and all that stuff in it. But then I decided I wanted to use it as a knitting bag. So I am knitting a pattern from this Summer Lee book that Anne, one of my viewers, gave me. Thank you very much, Anne. I really appreciate it. And these are the surf wax socks. So I cast them on just a few days ago on the 4th. Today is the 9th. And I'm using self-striping yarn, which the pattern doesn't call for that, but I think the pattern is going to lend itself well. So this is, I frogged a pair of socks. Get all the stringies out of the way. And so the cuff is 18 rows of ribbing, and you use like a main color, which is the self-striping, and then the contrast color, and then the main color, and then continue on with the main color in the pattern. So it's a series of knits and purls and slip stitches. So I think it'll become more evident as time goes on. I am using Chow Goo interchangeable set 9-inch circulars, and I'm using the 1.5 millimeter size. Normally I knit, no, that's not right, the 2.5 millimeter size. Normally I knit in the size 0, which is a 2 millimeter size. But I am experimenting with using larger needles and knitting smaller socks. So I'm knitting the size small, and I think it's going to work just fine. The other one, in the avocado motif bag, I am using the 2.25 millimeter needles on those. And I am also knitting, maybe knitting a medium size on that one, because it seems to me that I cast on 60 stitches. So having fun with socks, especially these vanilla are the new black socks. That has been super fun. Really enjoy that sock pattern, and I am also enjoying this Summer Lee pattern, which I believe has a heel flap and gusset. I honestly have not looked that far ahead yet. Hope you have something nice to drink. I'm still drinking tea. I'm working on a cup of green tea right now. So what else is new? So just really getting into the life stuff from this week. I mentioned I was back to work. I actually worked a little bit this morning. Didn't have to, but I like to keep an eye on things, especially if I'm aware that there are pending things. So I'll check in several times today. We got our new dishwasher yesterday, which is great. It hasn't been bad hand washing our dishes. I mean, it's just the two of us, so it's not a big deal. However, it is really nice to be able to put dishes in the dishwasher. And like on the holidays, like Thanksgiving, it's really nice to be able to use the dishwasher for that, because otherwise one of us would be in the kitchen the entire time doing dishes. And hopefully that is the last new appliance for a while. So just as a recap, we got a new pressure tank for the well to our house in August, maybe. And then in September, we got a new range. And then we got a new water heater in, I think that was December. I think it was before Christmas. And then we just got this new dishwasher. So hopefully that's the last appliance for a while. I shared in the previous segment the indoor gardening. So I cleaned up all the old dead plants and repotted the lemons. And so I need to do it a little bit better, and hopefully doing some of those things around the new year will help trigger my memory to do that kind of thing, because eventually I would like lemons off those lemon trees. I, in a fit of optimism, we had a nice day, kind of a sunny day. It wasn't particularly warm, but it wasn't cold either. I planted some radish seeds and spinach seeds outside. I checked it looks like a couple spinach seeds have sprouted, so we'll see how that goes. That was just kind of a fun experiment. And then in the indoor garden, everything's under grow lights. The microgreens are doing great. I just put a light on those yesterday, so hopefully they won't be quite as leggy, but in a way it doesn't matter either. So, and Territorial Seed has these kind of indoor kitchen window garden collection. So it has cucumber that are about the size of my thumb, and they're very tasty. And then there's like a couple cherry tomato varieties that only grow, I mean, they're supposed to be really happy in 4-inch pots, and I tried it last year, and the peppers did great. I think everything did great, quite honestly. And this year they've added basil to their collection. So looking forward to, I think it's bonsai basil, so another miniature plant. So that's kind of fun. And then just starting some lettuce indoors, because lettuce will do fine indoors under a grow light. So it's just a way of recognizing that winter is moving on, or at least the dark part of winter is moving on, and spring will come, even though we really do have the cold weather ahead of us at this stage. I harvested a cabbage that I planted either late last summer and used it in a kind of a Mexican style coleslaw. So I chopped it up, sprinkled it with salt, kind of massaged it a little bit, added a little bit of olive oil and some lime juice and cilantro, and it was quite tasty. What else is going on? Oh, what about the horses? So the horses are still separated as I'm waiting for Odin's hoof to heal, and there just hasn't been much progress on that. So I've been using positive reinforcement to get Odin to accept the syringe, and he's been doing really well with that. In fact, this morning he took the syringe away from me. So it's like, okay, how do I communicate with him that he doesn't get to keep the syringe? He gets to keep the, the molasses, the medication, the molasses applesauce mixture that I've been giving him, but he does not get to keep the syringe. But I think, so there's a miscommunication. So I need to help him understand that he doesn't get the syringe. So I got that from him, even though he was kind of backing up and holding the syringe like a cigar. It was kind of comical after I finished panicking about it, because I was really worried he was going to swallow it and choke on it, which I think he has more sense than that. But in the moment, as it were, that was a little scary. So I'm going to talk to my trainer about that, but I think I just need to be quicker about not letting him take the syringe. So, I mean, the way that I've been doing it is I've been offering the syringe to him, and when he takes it in his lips, I click and treat. And then I advanced that to when he took it in his lips, then I would just administer the medication. Well, he just took it a step further. It's like, I want that syringe. I think he thought that was the game. So, but he's not going to get any actual arthritis medication for a while yet, because he's actually getting some glue-on shoes tomorrow. And, because we want to diagnose his lameness one step at a time, I'm going to let him get used to those glue-on shoes for a few days and then test his movement and see if that helps him. If that helps him, then I'm stuck with expensive glue-on shoes for probably a long time. And then, so I'll check his movement with the video camera, send that to my veterinarian, and see then what her advice is for moving forward. Bragi has been doing pretty good with some puzzle games I set up for him. So because he gets startled so easily, I thought I would play some fun games with him. So the first thing I did is I set up a big like hay ball on top of a barrel and put a treat under it. And I showed him how to play. It's like, okay, here, knock off the ball and you get the treat. And, at first he was fine with me knocking off the ball, but when he knocked off the ball, he scared himself. So we had to practice that for a few days. And then when he got good at that, I put the treats under the barrel on a little, like a plastic lid, so the treats wouldn't just be in the dirt. And so that game, he figured that game pretty quick. And again, when he knocked over the barrel, he scared himself. But then he figured it out pretty quickly. And so now the game is the treats go on that lid with the barrel over it with the hay ball on top of it. So he's figuring all that out. And I think he's kind of enjoying it. So that's good news. My trainer's coming today. I think I already mentioned that. And I'm expecting we'll do some round pen work since it's been a couple weeks for the holiday season. I have started watching, I signed up for a Lucinda Green Academy. Lucinda Green is a British event writer, and she really had her like high performance athletic days in the 80s. And I think she qualifies for some fair, like world competition level, maybe even the Olympics. I honestly don't remember. She's an event writer. And so now she has an academy that helps people prepare to stay on their horse rather than falling off. So I signed up for that, even though I won't be riding O for a while yet until we get his lameness figure out. I want to understand the techniques and be able to watch it over and over again. So hoping to start that this weekend. Probably tomorrow morning is my guess, because the farrier's coming at 2 p.m. tomorrow, and that'll take quite a while for the glue on shoes. And then it's Randy's niece's birthday on Sunday, but we're taking her out to dinner tomorrow. And then Dad is still in the hospital, and I talked about this last time and just kind of where he is at. He's really in this, I would almost call it like a purgatory place. There's just waiting. There's really no forward movement. He's, in some ways, I think the medication he's on in the hospital is helping move the fluid around his body, that his heart can't do for him, because his heart is weak and in failure, quite honestly. So I don't have anything new to share about that. I will continue to keep you posted on that, but we're just all trying to support him in the way that he needs to be supported, and his wife as well. So we'll go up on Sunday and visit for a couple hours. So, and I'm aware that he gets very tired after that, but he also very much enjoys the company. I think he sleeps a lot when he doesn't have company. Other than that, we're continuing to plan our wedding. Our wedding's going to be in about 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. And we've got some things in place. We have an officiant. We both have our primary witnesses, Randy's best man, my best woman. She is also going to do flowers, so I've given her a license to do what she would like for flowers. And we still need to get a marriage license and get together with our officiant to talk about kind of how things are going to go. And also What else do we need to do? We need to figure out food, but I think it's going to be like a lot of appetizers and maybe some champagne or stuff like that, and just a fun celebration. And what else are we going to do about that? I think that's where we're at right now. I think we've figured out what we're going to wear. The guest list is shaping up, so we want it to be very small because we'd like to have it here, and a lot of it so we don't have to rent a place. We don't have to go somewhere. We don't have to set up the place. We can just clean our house and hopefully have 10 to 15 people here and call it good. So that is what's going on with this week. As far as knitting plans go, just to bring it kind of full circle, I'm just planning on finishing projects and then continuing with my stash down plans in 2026. So hopefully I get most of my stash knitted or donated. So that is the plan. All right, take care, everyone. I hope you have a great week and that your 2026 is getting off to a wonderful start. Bye now.